Frozen in this moment, the last, and I know it. Think about the winners with hands with the coldest. Think about handouts, shit, you're still growing. Think about the world, how we didn't even notice.
Right, guys, hello, how are you? Sorry we're a bit late. As always, technical difficulties. Because I like to leave things to lastminute.com, but we're here, we're glad. Thanks for everyone tuning our way. We were supposed to get it off at 9 o'clock, but we're half an hour late. But as always, Ciaran was top notch and kept going with us as best we can. We were trying to figure things out, new software updates, and of course, I haven't been doing a podcast for a while. So, of course, everything decided to go tits up. But we're here. We're grand. Ciaran can hear me. I can hear Ciaran. And we're going to be joined by the one and only Mr. Kiwi Cutz, as you know. He's one of the best in the business. We're going to be talking to about all things hair and God knows what else. So as I'm hoping and praying right now that everybody can hear us. So if you can hear us in the back there, just give us a thumbs up. Make sure that all is working. If you can't, I just give up now at this stage. But hang on, if I press this button, I should be joined by the one and only Mr. Kiwi Cutz. Ciaran, how are you, my brother? What's the story?
What is going on? We're here. We're alive.
We're alive.
What's Jesus. The story?
Not much, brother. Are you?
Good to see you. Good to see you. From a distance. From a distance.
Yeah. It's like these social distance parties. That's what I'm calling.
I know. I've actually one tomorrow night as well for one of the buddies. Just the joys. But it's a new way forward at the moment anyway until some bit of normality resumes.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be
very
interesting.
It's a game of patience.
It's a game of something. It's a game of something. I'm not quite sure whether it be patience or I think of another word for it now in a minute. But it's going to be very, very interesting to see how these things and all these things fare out, because your business is as good as my business. We're going to be a long time coming before anything really comes our way again. We're definitely going to be the last out, but I'd say you boys are going to be the second last out.
100%. Yeah, it's definitely taken a huge hit amongst all different sectors of all different businesses. It's, I suppose, like I'm only just over 2 years into business, and I don't think anyone could ever expect something like this to happen. But you're gotta keep the smile bright. Like, you have tough days, but I kind of put it to myself after New Year's. Like, it was actually nice to enjoy a Christmas of 2 weeks off. I don't know, I'd say school was the last time I had that. Just with regards when I was even working on Wayne's that time as well, you were back in between Christmas and New Year's, so it was nice to enjoy that. But then I was like, right, you got to utilize your time off as well. So that was my main kind of objective coming the 4th of January. Was like, right, put my head down, try and get a bit of training in, then try and work on different aspects of the business, especially the back end, to try and, I suppose, like, it's definitely made me realize and give me time towards my business that I would definitely never would have had or would have thought of, be it from, like, did I do this wrong? Did I do that wrong? Like, it's giving me time to learn from my mistakes as well.
Yeah, that's it. And sometimes, like, when you're in business, and as people will know listening, if you're in business on your own, you are basically just running around filling holes. That's it. You're only trying to stick your finger in this hole to try and stop the water coming out over the top. And by the time you're actually finished your job, as
Can you hear me there?
Here we go. No, we're all right. Whew. We're still alive. I was saying there, like, that when you're on the business on your own, you're just running around the place, just trying to fill holes, stick your finger in the wall to try and stop the water from coming out on top of you. You're trying to get it. Like, I think that entrepreneurialism should be taught in schools, to be perfectly honest. We're taught everything else bar what we do need to sort of help us get ourselves into business. It would be a lot more helpful if you were told how to run a business, or even shown small ways of doing things, that you wouldn't be stuck in when you get to business, that it all goes kind of tits up on you and you don't have the time to, like, actually explain to people that you do need time in the back end as well as doing it in the front end as well. Like, your front end is your trade, but you also don't have to go home and sit through 5 or 6 hours of books on top of everything else. Yeah. And that's where businesses fall down. You might be the best bartender, you might be the best hairdresser, but if your back end isn't very good, if your books or any like that, if you can't do all that type of stuff as well, you're kind of fucked.
Big time. It's Joe. It's the exact same with you. Pouring a pint I'd like pulling a point for you. To me, cutting hair is the easiest thing you'll do when you open a business. It's the other duties that you have to learn. The only thing, like Joe, as you do say about schools, like I will definitely, hopefully, within years to come, like go back into my own like school of bantry and explain the like about entrepreneurship. Is definitely something that I have on my box that I want to tick off.
Yeah.
But the one thing what I do kind of like about the entrepreneurship is the fact of you've no other choice but to throw yourself into the deep end, right?
Yeah.
You're going to fail in certain aspects of it, 100%, because you're learning. But the most rewarding is coming out on top of different parts of the game that you never thought you would. I think like a lot of us put it down to even my leaving cert there, Joe. Even one example, like my main subject was geography that I wanted to do well in, where business was the best subject I came out with, and I didn't expect that to be my best result. But that's the joys of business, that you could fall down in one area and you got to pick yourself up. But I think a lot of it as well is don't be afraid to reach out to people. That's one thing that I've done. I think within the city, I was able to reach out to X amount of people you can trust. I think that's one thing that you learn as well with business. You learn trust amongst people. And once you get that trust built, like it's very easy to call someone. Like people are only a call away. It's like, as it's reach out for that. That's what I always say. Don't be afraid. Don't be stuck in yourself. Right, you can do the research online and all that as well, but getting expertise of someone that has been in these situations is the one they'll guide you, because as I find, the mistakes you make, like that's one thing, like I suppose I've looked at, when you're trying to bring in people into the salon, like when I brought Rory in there. It's actually this time last year, which was crazy. I think he's there a year, but like realistically, the poor guy has only worked like 4 or 5 months. Like he's had no time and aspect to build his clientele or anything. But like I look back and the years that I had of hairdressing and seeing, right, what would I have ordered, or what did I find good and what did I find bad, and I tried to take a mix of both and add it into that. Like I'm still learning as well. Don't get me wrong, in the last year there's been mistakes that I've made with having my first ever person in the shop with me as well, which is you learn from, and big time. It's so hard, like, because I look at Joe with even the likes of this COVID, like who expected like that, right? Rent is still going out. My bills haven't stopped, unfortunately. They'll freeze, or when you'll go back, you're owing more. Like they still have to be paid. They're a business at the end of the day as well. It's just the joys of being a service.
Yeah, that's the problem. People think that it's okay, businesses are on freeze, but the problem is there's going to come a day where either like it's getting like even a simple thing there now, like ESB, that people don't understand. Like most people will understand that, you pay your ESB. But if the building is closed, you don't pay anything. No, you still pay a standing charge. So you're still paying 30, 40 euros a month for a standing charge. And if you don't pay that over 4 or 5 months, you're into 200 or 300 euros very, very quickly. And that's just a standing charge. You know what I mean? No. And just that, even your water, your rates, the stuff like that, okay, you've got a freeze on your rates. But if the Chamber of Commerce don't get their act together and the boys up in City Hall, they're going to come looking for their 2020 rates, and they're going to add them to 100%. Your 2020 rates, or 2021 rates, which is going to wipe everybody. It's going to wipe absolutely 100%. Everybody out.
It's the one thing that I've like even in the last 6 months, like as bad as, like, if you look at the main street of Cork City, of Patrick Street, is gone dilapidated. Like you've everything leaving there. Like you had likes of, say, right, Debenhams, you had Oasis, you had Monsoon, you had AIB is going out of there now as well. There's more empty shops. There's like it's definitely a very, very hard time for business, and like I do feel for other people. And it's Joe, what I find, the one thing I find about this, that everyone is in the same position, that have a business that have been closed. The only ones that I feel that are utilizing this is the likes of supermarkets. They're definitely busier, because there's definitely going to be people away on holidays all throughout the year, where everyone's in one country now, that there's a lot more people in the area. I think people are eating more as well, just because they're around the house, that they're just going to
We ain't
be
got nothing
snacking.
else to do.
100%. I like the likes of Joe technology. They've stayed going. The guys that are working from home, Joe, working then in pharma as well. Like,
Yeah.
I just, the one thing I hope that it doesn't create a serious divide between wealth. Joe, it's because there's unfortunately it does look that way, that it's going to go with the, like, Joe, people that are in business are their minus figure is getting worse and worse and worse. Where people that are like lucky enough to work from home have that ability, like with
It'll
Joe,
push
that they
now,
could have, yeah. But it's I don't know. It's we try to say, the best thing, the most thing I'm trying to do is stay positive though with throughout this, because you can use it as a burden to hinder yourself, or you can use it as a tool to excel yourself. That's what I'm trying to
exactly.
do.
That's as much
Like,
as
I
what I
think
said to myself. It's only going to be as hard as I make it. So if you want to think
100%.
about the negative all the time, if you can think about, right, the pub's gone, or the shop is gone, or
Yeah,
the salon's gone, or your business, like there's something. If you want to think about the negative all the time, that
yeah,
will wear you out. It will
big time.
absolutely not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not perfect 100% of the time. Like, you know what I mean? There's
Yeah,
days there where I'm going, I need to get back. Like this week now, in particular, it really affected me. Like, for the first time, like I said, we're now
yeah,
closed. We'll be closed a year in. Well, we closed the 13th of March, so 2 weeks,
yeah.
4 weeks, 5 weeks. We'll say we'd be closed a whole year.
We have a
And I
party.
never thought
Yeah,
close down part. I never
yeah.
thought we would be
It's
ever. Like, you know what I mean? It's frightening. But I said to myself about May, sort of June, maybe even July, when the good weather was there, I was like, you know what, Terrence, you might never get this chance again. Like, this Christmas was the first Christmas I had off in 17 years. I'm only
yeah,
33. And it was 17
yeah,
years since I've had a Christmas off, whether I wasn't DJing Paddy's Day or DJing Stevens' Day, New Year's Day, or whatever it was. Like, that's kind of silage season in that trade.
yeah,
So I was kind of going, I'm going to enjoy it as best I can. But now
yeah,
this week, I'm kind of going, I could do with a job. I could do with doing something. I'm starting to get a little
yeah.
bit going, I could probably
And
do
so, yeah,
something, anything really, anything, So yeah, I probably
because
drove myself mad.
I don't know. You're probably similar enough as well. That, like, I feel when you work, Joe, long hours, and you work, Joe, you work yourself to the bone, that you feel you
Yep.
deserve a holiday. Where when this hasn't
Yeah.
been a deserving holiday, it's so hard to take it on the chin. Like, I didn't work. I'll be honest with you, I didn't work Christmas Eve. I finished up the 23rd,
Yeah.
because I had all the Christmas hours done, and I was like, here, I'm after working stupid o'clock around, for that 4 week period, that I was like, or
Yes.
3 week period when we were open in between, that I was like, here, I need a day off. I was like, and I was able to enjoy it. Where, now I'm getting to the stage, like, it's very funny, like, because I've been doing a nice bit on the back end of the business, just regarding just
Yeah.
updating of my system. I'm working on another project regarding the business as well, that I've been working the last 2 years, that I definitely wouldn't have had the time to do it. And there's a
Yeah.
lot more that I'm realizing that needs to be done, but I have the time to do it now, so I got to utilize it. That's what my main concern is, getting them done. The other side of it, then, I have a 3-year contract of a lease where I am in my business in Cork, like, and you're looking to see, do you go bigger and better, or do you, like, are you looking to keep going with it? Because I don't know, like, I'm at the stage that I feel I've yet to produce myself, but
Yes.
I want, like, if I'm going to go to a new place, or if I'm going to stay where I am, it needs to be a long contract that I can actually pump in money properly,
Yeah.
and get it properly done out. Where, like, Joe, what I have at the moment, I'm super proud of, but
Yeah.
there's things that I'd love to change, as well, if you have money. But, like,
Absolutely.
it's the joys of it. But
That's always the way. That's always the way. But you've got that pitfall then too, that a lot of people do. They go and they spend a lot of money on a building that isn't theirs.
yeah,
And then either something happens where it messes up, or it fucks up their cash flow or something like that, and they're turning around going, wow, I have a lovely pub or restaurant or salon or barber shop or whatever it is, and they go, the
Yeah,
best of seats, the best of everything. And then you turn around and you go, okay, but I've no money for ESB or water or rates or anything like that. And
yeah,
then the customers started trickling in slowly and slowly. And then you're kind of going, oh, fuck, I'm not going to make this. I'm not going to make this. You know, you can have the best looking place and no one in it. Or you could
big time.
have a working place with everybody in it. There was a guy who told me one thing, and it was a great saying. He turned around and said, if you go big, you have big problems. But if you
Yeah,
stay small, you can take it all. So there was a little bit of a
yeah,
saying there, and I was like, you know what? Maybe it's just easier to like.
yeah,
Why do you need stress? Like, you know what I mean? Like this whole COVID thing, and I hope it's done. Like for certain parts of my life, it's after making a massive difference to me. It's after making me sort of step back and go, right, well, I don't want to be running after myself 400 times a day. Like there was a period of my life up until this COVID where I was just physically running everywhere because I couldn't catch up.
yeah.
Like I wasn't walking.
Well,
Like people would see me in town and I go past. Like I actually
yeah.
physically had to run everywhere I was going. There wasn't a time where I could
And
actually
you,
walk.
and you turn around and say, all for what?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Exactly.
what I started questioning. The one thing that I've questioned myself a lot on is regarding the word patience. And I said it earlier as well, but where I was coming with that was people can actually wait for a haircut.
Yeah.
You know, they don't actually physically need it now. You know, it's like where you feel you're doing duty for someone. Like I do
Yeah.
understand that is part of the business that you do look after customers and all that, and
Mhm.
customer service and X, Y, and Z. But the people can wait. That's that. Like I just learned that like there's a. It's like that person at 11:30 when your bar closes and they're coming in looking for one sneaky point on their way home. They're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I was in here last weekend, like Joe, and they're like, it's I like I don't mean to sound bad, but like bad about that, but it's definitely made me open up my eyes to.
What's
You
important?
got to look after yourself. You got to look after yourself first, and then like I like Joe, Anya, my sister had uh, a baby boy last end of February. He's a year at the end of this month, and like
Yeah.
the amount of time that I've had with him, that I can't take that back. Like because I've enjoyed every bit of it now. That like we can sit and watch TV together and small things like that. That like Christina's down home now as well with her sister, and like I've never got that bonding because like she like there's a good age gap between both of us that we've never. Like we might have had Christmas, or she'd have been down every 6 weeks in Dublin, or I could have been up for a game. Like, and then I suppose the aspect of my parents as well, and that time with them, they're things that you like yourself. You've had young kiddies recently as well. That like you can't replace that. And they're years. It's a year in your life that what you turn around and is like, fuck it. I've actually enjoyed my family time.
Yeah.
Right, you want to tear the head off him. Don't get me wrong. It's all aspect of it. Like we're only human, but there's a big part of me that I was like my other first cousin Daniel there is home from the States since October, and like I'm able to spend a lot of time, to actually physically catch up with him properly. That through the years now that we're both mature, I'm seeing my other first cousins that are like growing up as well, that you're like, oh my god, like you're in closer contact, right? You're not meeting up or anything like that, but you're in closer contact because you're down at home, that you feel right. Let's make the effort.
You're able to reconnect, like
big time. And I suppose the first two lockdowns, I stayed in Cork for them. I just did. The weather was good. People were, spirits were adapting different. Tell you the likes of the lock there, like it was. I'm not gonna lie. I used to walk around there each day. Everyone was drinking cans, all that. It was just, it was a big vibe with the weather, like which was kind of crazy. But when you look back at it, and it
cost a lock.
Yeah, big time. And then like I look at it now, Joe. Since Christmas, I've been down home, and it's been nice because there's nothing happening in the city now either. Because like I've gone up to check the salon and stuff like that just for insurance purposes, but like there's nothing has physically changed at all. But I do like that's one thing I will take from COVID is one, to look after yourself, two, look after your family, and then start looking at different aspects of your business. They're probably the three things that have come out of COVID that I will hopefully, fingers crossed, come out stronger. it's
That's it,
definitely going to be a weird time when things do reopen. But I can't wait for the day that just, as I say, enjoy a pint is one aspect, but like enjoy banter within a salon without feeling nervous.
Yeah, yeah. Do
Which
you know what it's getting like now? When you're in public now, do you know what the worst thing is? If you actually have to sneeze in public, you feel like you have the
what's
plague.
going to happen to hay fever?
I have asthma, so it's
I've
basically like
brutal.
I go around like a windy city anyway at most times. But if I get a bang on the nose or if I start sneezing at all, like I'll sneeze 10 or 11 times straight in a row,
I'm the
and it's
same
the
way.
worst thing ever. Because I'm kind of trying to hide my sneeze while I'm like, and you don't want to sneeze because then everyone just turns around and looks at you and goes, "Hang on a second, does he have COVID? Get away from him quickly!" Like, you know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's going to be
You feel bad.
different. Oh, it's
Yeah,
so strange. Sneezing and coughing now in public are either going to be banned. I'd say you're going to have to. You're just.
big
I don't
time,
know. I don't know what you're going to do. I really don't. But sure,
big
even
time.
when you go back to when I'm DJing there, I can have headphones on with music in them and still hear people shouting at me through the headphones for the request of their song. So you can imagine, like I've literally have to wash my face coming home, and you can just
Yeah,
see the Jägermeister. My
it's like,
face would be sticky from fucking Jägermeister and everything. I'm like, it'd be
where do we play
absolutely
this?
brutal. We're not going to get that ever again, like, because there's going to be a fucking shield or something that we're going to have to put up, or write your requests on this
Yeah,
piece of paper, please. But yeah,
big time.
it's
Like
so funny. It's going to be strange. It's going to be very,
Joe, I'm not
very
going to lie
strange.
though. The aspect, like, I do miss a good boogie. Very, very strange, but like I do miss a good night out as a good boogie, like in like a bit of
Yeah,
dancing
yeah,
and all that. But I kind of evolved myself towards this kind of chilled out. It's very kind of like, I don't know, like there's this kind of bar scene of like sitting down, having a couple of pints, and then like, I suppose cocktails have gone pretty big within the city now as well. That like a lot, it's kind of, it's not going to shorts. It's going to a cocktail. As bad. Like
yeah,
you kind of evolved to it because it's the only thing that you can get at that stage as well. And then as bad as so like right, the food, right, some people would give out about like, I could like sometimes become 12 o'clock if you're inside the bar and you're offered a pizza. You're kind of like, you'll share it amongst the table with everyone. That it's kind of like, right, I actually wouldn't mind something.
just to take the nips off from going home, having a big burger or anything like that. It's definitely going to change. I think we're at the stage now where the wet pub in Ireland could be dead. I do think the wet pub in Ireland could be dead. Sadly, and I'm saying this now with absolute regret in my voice, I do think the Irish traditional bar is going to be dead. I think you'll have to do food, because I don't see the wet bar coming back from. I don't see standalone bars that are just able to sell alcohol, even surviving. Simple as. I genuinely just don't see it. You there? You still there?
Can you just repeat that again there? Sorry, you just, because it just kind of buffered there as
No, no,
you
you're
were
all
just
right.
saying.
I
You're just
was
saying
just
about
saying there.
the bar scene changing. That like you feel that the whole Irish culture of
I don't see the wet bar coming back. I don't see the likes of the Cozy Cabin that just does drink on its own will ever survive this whole pandemic, because I think you'll have to start doing food. That's what I'm thinking, and that's what scares me, because if you don't do food in your bar, it's a very, very big bill to start doing food in your bar. Like, you're talking 30, 40 grand to get fire certs, bar certs, fucking HSE, stainless steel, all that type of stuff. It's a big investment. But
big time.
yeah, I think the wet pubs are finished. I genuinely do. That's
Yeah,
as sad as, I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm
yeah.
wrong. But I think this could
Joe,
be
I'm
the
not gonna
final
lie though.
nail.
I do feel hugely though for like country pubs, for the simple fact of there's a lot of people use pubs like as a meeting spot
Yeah,
just to have a conversation with someone,
yeah,
and
100.
I think that is it's, but then as someone could turn around and the exact same thing, they could turn around and say, well, what about the drink driving laws? Should they, like that's exactly what they've done as well, is deteriorated that wet pub scene of someone going for that conversation. But it's like, as like Irish people can be very shy in the fact of to open up and talk, like, and I think that's Joe, when you go to, like, as you said, when you're in a country pub, Joe, they could enjoy the gossip, what's gone on in the day, or what they've done, and Joe, oh, did you hear about so and so? There's just a bit of camaraderie and a bit of banter going on, and like, you're going to miss that, or you're going to miss, Joe said, the likes of going out on a Saturday night, and then you're like, fuck, will we go on a Sunday again, you know? Will we? There's a load of soccer games on, or there's a rugby game on, or like, Joe, you look at this weekend now, like, Joe, say starting tomorrow, like, you have the Six Nations starting at 1:30, where like usually that used to be like, it used to be a Friday night game always on the first night, and then Joe used to go all the way for you had your 6 weeks of, and then that was into Paddy's weekend then. You know, and like, it was them kind of things are like, you're gonna miss big time. Like, it's how to get that, not like, when, like, what is, then someone could say what is normal, but it's that bit of fun. You know,
it's, yeah, man, it's going to be interesting. Like, you have the Six Nations, then you've got Cheltenham, and then you've got the Six Nations back again, and then you've got Paddy's Day, and like, before you know where you're at, you're into Maybank holiday, and then there's the entire summer, and then I always hated October bank holiday weekend. That was one weekend that just always wrecked my head for some strange reason. I never understood.
I loved it then for jazz in Cork.
Oh, for jazz in the city? Yes.
Jazz. It's. I find jazz better than Christmas time at the city, because you can actually, like, well, you have a bank holiday off with the hairdressing, but like with Christmas, you're working all the way up to Christmas Eve, and then you're back in between New Year's again. Where jazz, you can actually go and have a hoolie, like.
Yeah. No, I do. I did when I used to do it. When I used to be in the city, all right, jazz was always a very, very good whatchamacallit. Who do we have here now? Oh, we've got boys coming in. We've got Adam O'Leary saying hello as well. So if you, Adam, how are you, buddy? What's
going on, Adam? How are you?
Yeah, we got loads of people coming in there now. Andrew Ria from Simply Suits saying it's blasphemy that we're saying that all the pubs are going to close. But Andrew, look, it is just going to happen. I think so. Andrew said he's going to head over to Kiwi Cutz and get his ball patch sorted out, to head down to the cozy cabin and get plastered then. I'd
love a chick. I'd love a cheeky pint now, though. I'm not going to lie. Pint of cream.
It'd be nice just to even pour it now at this stage, you know. Even never mind drinking it. We better give, seeming though Andrew is looking, we better give his business now plug there along the bottom of the screen. He's now online, ladies and gentlemen. So you can head over to simplysuits.ie if I'm getting that right, and he'll give you 50% off if you mention Cabin Fever. I'm only messing that. It's not. But yeah, head over to Simply Suits.
I can't hear actually talking about Andrew there. I can't. I suppose can't describe him as, he's one of the best lads to reach out to for advice. I've reached out to him a good few times for advice, and also as a helping hand towards business. He's been so good, and like, I know it sounds shocking now, but it came up in my newsfeed there. It was Jacob sent it on to me that it's 3 years ago since my last photo shoot, but any photo shoot that I'd done with Sean Barry in like when I was doing photo shoots, Andrew like give him one call and there was a suit there waiting, come down, get it fitted, and so there was no asking for nothing, only just it was just a shake of a hand and say thank you very much. And I think I couldn't ask for any better out of him. It's great to see like their businesses obviously hit hugely as well with like the likes of weddings and all that, and say graduations, but Joe, fingers crossed these things will start coming back up again, like us all.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully, we're all just sort of hanging in there. Oh, we've got Thomas Nolan checking you out. He says, let the people know what happened in Las Vegas, Kiwi.
Las Vegas.
No private stories. We're just having a bit of fun.
There was no private. Plenty of gambling. It was good fun. We had a good laugh there now, right? There was 8 of us, and Well, that's 3 years ago now that we traveled all west coast of America. We decided to buy a van between 8 of us, and I flew to LA there for 3 days of my own, and then met them in San Fran, and we drove to Vegas. Yeah, Vegas is a wonderful experience. All I gotta say is you have to go there to experience it yourself, and it's what you want to make out of it. Yeah, and it's what you want to make out of it yourself. It's like it does not sleep there. It's just go, go, go. It's
serious.
Great city, serious. But I don't think I could live there.
I went. Well, how many times have I been there now? I've been 4 times, I think, possibly 4 or 5 times now. I've been to Vegas, and it's bonkers. It is just fucking nuts. Bonkers. Like the Americans just go off the radar altogether. They really do. They lose all sense of direction. But that's saying that I was there. I was there 2 years ago, and since most of the states now you're able to gamble online and stuff like that, Vegas has gone very quiet. Vegas is like gone really, really quiet, like, you know. But I remember going back there.
You still can't beat the slots though.
No, can't beat them slots. Them slots, and that free drink. Keep them waitresses coming. Like the best tip I could ever say to anyone going to Vegas is you can drink for free there, right? All you gotta do is tip waitresses. So all you gotta do is there's a group of you go over to the slot machines, put in like $10 in the slot machines, and start getting the waitresses' attention, and start giving them start off with like a tenner, and then just give them $1 or $3 a tip after that, and they will just keep the drink flowing for the whole time. You don't have to tip them all the time. But I remember like at 2:00 in the day being absolutely out of my fucking tree drinking there, and I woke up the next morning and there was pictures of me holding a snake. Now, I have no idea, and still to this day, I have no idea why I had a snake around my neck. Not a fucking clue. Not a notion. No idea whatsoever. Absolutely bollocks drunk I was. And I just woke up the next morning with one of them Snap sort of Polaroids in my pocket with "Welcome to Las Vegas" written on top of it, and me holding this massive pipe as if I was Britney Spears, like, you know, not a clue. I still have no idea what I did. Or even Aoife was like, I don't even remember that either. Like, both of us hadn't a fucking clue where we were going. You bonkers in the middle of the day.
Yeah, I met a barber over there as well. Monster Eddie. Eddie was his name of his shop, and I done a collaboration with him at the Las Vegas sign. We cut actually Thomas Nolan's hair and Shane Keever's, and he done a hair design in Shane Keever's hair. But anyway, he brought us to his local first before we went to the Vegas sign. Guinness there. I was like, oh yes, I was like straight on it, and they were pouring it in one go, and I was like, not a hope. Like I was like, here, let me behind the bar there. So poured the Guinness anyway. Nice perfect pint. And then I was like, this is how you pour it. And then I was like, and this is how you drink it. And I just necked it. And they're like, oh my God. It's like, it's so true about Irish. They love drink. And I was like, all right, the whole bar stopped up, and I was like, all right. It's like, it's tasty though.
Do you know what? It is, I do love it, man. And I went over there for a fight as well. I was over there, and like, there was one time I was over there for Memorial Weekend, and the VMAs was on there. The place was just fucking packed. Absolutely packed. Like, you can't describe the scenes on a Saturday night there. Like, and these people laugh at me when I explain this to them. Like, you have literally got people walking down the middle of the street in full wedding dresses and suits, in full tuxes, and they're walking down. Then they're being met by a group of hens or a stag coming down the other side. And then there's just women with their tits out with tiny little sprinkler things on them to take pictures, while there's other fellas in full fucking Transformer gear. Like, it's mind-blowing. And you've got street dancers, and it's like a carnival, man. It's fucking bonkers. It's absolutely... Imagine doing that now on the square. Could you imagine that now on a Saturday night in the middle of Bantry? People...
Who's that looper?
Jumping in and out of the fountain, climbing on top of the anchor, and fucking doing a belly dance on top of St. Brendan in the middle of Bantry. You'd get some queer looks like.
But then you have the population, just it's known as a wild city. It's one thing that I would say for everyone to experience at some stage of their life, just to actually see the slot machines, see the casinos, see everything that goes on there. It's crazy. It's great crack though. Don't get me wrong. I'd happily go back there in the morning again. The gang that we went with, like, it was just a reckless gang. They were great crack. They're like, everyone looked out for each other, but we still lived it up to our utmost. Like, we're all only 20 as well. So we're like, there was two of us only working full time out of the gang. Like, it was only myself and Thomas Sullivan were the two that were working full time. And oh yeah, Niall Sheehan. We're the only two that are working full time, where the rest of the guys were just working part-time jobs as well. So like, obviously money was tight. We're on a budget, and we still had an amazing time. That was the start of our holiday as well, because I traveled all the way to Vancouver with them, and I flew from there then to Toronto, where I met my other buddy Mike, who was actually from there. I was there for 5 days, but they actually continued all the way to New York, which was some trip. I had to come back for work, because I had 4 weeks off, which was a long time. But my God, I'd love to do it in the morning again. It was spectacular. Like, there was, I think the most amazing part of it was, when I got a new laptop there last week, and them automatic screensavers that come up that you've you have the Grand Canyon, you have where the Wild West was done. Like, we're seeing all of them when we're there, and it was it's kind of, you're like, oh my God, I was actually there. You're looking at things and you're like, when you actually realize, just like, holy shit. So like, another one was, as I was saying, geography was one of my favorite subjects in school. Like, and the mountain we'd always learned about was Mount St. Helens, and like myself, Aidan and Thomas Nolan, we actually climbed that, the three of us, which was pretty cool. It's very funny though, because when we got to the top, like, I was like, is that it? I was like, is that it? But it's a bucket list that is ticked off, and like, it's definitely opened up my eyes to traveling. The one thing I do need to do though, I need to get over to my brother in Australia. He's been there there 10 years this month, and I haven't been over there yet. And it's some place, like, I need to get over there. Like, once this business is set up there, I'll be definitely on the first flight over to him, and I'll be looking forward to spending a bit of time in Melbourne as well.
Definitely. You will. Don't let there be no panic. Let there be
100%.
That's
100%.
it. Come here, what I meant to ask you the last time, right? And you're going to have to shed some light and educate this idiot that is on the other side of this phone call with you. The World Championships of the hairdressing. Now, I did have you on when we were doing the radio station. We had a bit of an old small podcast that time.
Yeah.
How did that come about? I remember you saying, all right, you were with Wayne Lloyd at the time. That's where you served your time, wasn't it? You served your apprenticeship there.
Yeah.
Then you sort of got into like the World Championships and stuff like that. How does, like, no, again, I'm an idiot, so it really doesn't take much to get confusing.
I'll break it down, yeah.
But like, do you just rock up with a couple of people and cut their hair and say, look, have a go at it? Or are you told a certain amount of
right, there's with competitions, there's two types of entries. That you either go photographic, that you enter through a photo shoot that you've done already, and they pick off the image, and then you're brought forward for that. Basically, like, a prime example would be like Luke from Kelkle that I brought over to England that time as well. Do you remember when I done the mod? Basically what I done was a photo shoot on him first, and entered that into the competition, got selected as a finalist, brought him over, cut him on stage. We had an hour to cut the haircut that time. Usually, then there's another competition that was 25 minutes to cut the hair on stage. There's a lot, like, it all depends on the criteria of it. But the time of the American Crew, which was in 2017, so the photo shoot that I done it was actually my first photo shoot that I done with Sean Barry, and the suit was from Andrew as well, which I greatly appreciated. And we actually done it in his apartment, and it was actually the last style that I had a total different style that I was going for, and literally put the comb through his hair, and it just sat. I was like, right, that's it, go, come on, let's get this picture. And got that done, entered it, ended up winning it, and then they done a selection from the American crew. So there for the global final. So there was 15 picked, and then we were brought out to Brussels for a week. And the first day was just an introduction day of meeting and greeting and all of that, and getting to know each other. So there was the UK, there was Norway, Sweden, Canada, USA, Australia. It was all over the world. It was class. It was great for. That's one thing about my next project that I'm looking at that is connected with hair. That will help a lot with them kind of contacts that we have stayed in touch, which is great. But yeah, we're there then. So then they announced who was going in the first day and who was going the second day of the competition. So the first day there was 7, and then the second day there was 8 people. And of course, I was after a couple of drinks at this stage. I was like, come on, we're settling in, kind of getting to know people. And then all of a sudden they turned around and was like, yeah, Ireland is up first on the first day. And I was like, right. I was like, right. I just stopped drinking. Then I was like, here, I need to get to bed and get a good night's sleep. And so I went to bed, was up early then the next morning for breakfast, and was brought this big kind of hall where there was 7 models in front of us. And you had 15 minutes to go and mess around with their hair. That we were recommended then to pick 3 models that we enjoyed. And what they'd done was you basically picked a number out of a hat, and whatever number you got was the time you went up to actually pick your model. So I got number 3, and I actually got the model that I wanted, which was great. And so what happened then, because obviously Ireland was up first with Italy. Yeah, I was with Italy. And you had 45 minutes to cut and finish his hair. Then you had 15 minutes to pick an outfit. So you had to pick a whole outfit. Then you had 15
as well.
Then you had makeup, which I can't remember the time that was in makeup. And then you had a half an hour with photography with Dave Raculia, who is the founder of American Crew. And so what it was, you had 20 minutes of taking snapshots, and you had 10 minutes to pick your 2 images then. And then them 2 days were done. We had 1 day of rest, and then we were brought into the Style Masters, which is a huge competition by Revlon, who actually own American Crew as well. And that was in front of, I think it was 2,500 people that were there from all different countries, and they just announced the winner then, and it was Adam Meir from the UK that actually won it that year. And it was actually very nice as well, because the guy was getting married that year as well, so he got 10,000 euros as a prize fund, which was nice, Joe, as well. It's kind of funny though, we keep in good contact, myself and Adam, because he's based in Sheffield, and I sent John Egan into him when he moved up to Sheffield, when he got signed with Sheffield, and John goes in the full time now. It's kind of funny, like there's a good few more players going into him now as well, which is like, you lucky duckling. I was like, I wish I was over there, but it's another thing there with Andrew as well. That's another thing. He sponsored a full outfit for myself for the Style Masters, because it was suited and booted, and he sponsored it by Simply Suits, and it was Joe, my respect. I couldn't say a bad word about the guy. But it was it was a huge experience.
Advertising that he's getting.
Yeah, big time. It's
if you're still listening, we want 2 new suits. We're going to be up as soon as lockdown finishes. You've taken over this podcast. You've gotten so much free advertising, so we want to cash in now at this stage.
No, it's the least amount I give to the guy for the amount of respect he's given towards me for photo shoots as well. But I then came home. I've competed in so many different competitions as well. Like I've competed in the Great British Barber Bash, American Crew, the Alpha Parf, which is more hairdressing aspect, where there's a lot of colour involved, and the IHF as well, which is colour based as well. That there's a nice bit of hair. It's basically hairdressing skills that come into that a lot more in the barbering section of it. But competitions are definitely something I do miss. I really enjoyed them when I was doing them. Do I see myself going back there? I don't know. There's a lot of money goes into them. Like that weekend when I won the American Crew, I had to fly over. So I had the IHF that weekend in Dublin. I had to fly from Dublin on the Monday morning over to London, and was back on the Tuesday in Cork, and was back into work on the Wednesday. But that whole weekend from Saturday evening after finishing work to coming home on the Tuesday, there was over $3,500 was spent on the competition. Being there's a lot of money that goes into him, because you basically have to pay for your whole model, his outfit, his the hotel, the food costs. There's a lot of underlying costs. It's like a business. People think cutting hair, you get every bit of the money, where there's like little snippets that come off it. But I do not regret it one bit, because I love competition. I just love the anticipation, right? There's nervousness. It was lovely to see, like, my parents came over to Brussels that time, and that was my father's first time coming to one of my hair shows, and it was brilliant to have them there. Another one in Dublin as well, that my sisters, my mother, my grandmother, and my aunt. Them kind of things. It was nice to get them to the ones that I'd actually done well in. Like, because I'd say I competed in about 10, and like I placed in 6 of them, and I'd won 4, I think. Yeah, so it was great for business. It was one thing that kind of, I suppose, kickstarted my name as well, big time. In regards to, I suppose, moving up to the city as well, it kickstarted my name above there. And then I think a lot of it, Joe, the one thing that you need from a barber is trust when they're cutting your hair. And I think when you have 1 or 2 like awards like behind that, like you don't win awards for no reason either. Like you work hard for it. It's and that's one thing I will just say, that once you graft, like Wayne gave me a lot of tips and out of handy, Joe. Like, he's award winning himself, multi-award winning, and like he hit a good eye for the competition game, and got me in early. Literally started hairdressing with him in March, April, when I did my work experience. My first competition was November. Like Joe, all right, there was help with him, Joe, with that model and stuff like that, which, Joe, you greatly appreciate, and it definitely got me kickstarting, because I suppose at the start, when I did start hairdressing, it was a bit of a stigma regarding that you're the guy that plays rugby and GA and you're doing hairdressing. You're like, what's going on? Like, so like, then when people, I suppose, realize, right, I'm actually taking it seriously, it kind of people's mindset towards the job definitely changed, and it's great to see now so many other young people around the area getting involved in hairdressing and barbering. The only thing that I would hope eventually to see is it being a status the same as an apprenticeship for electrician or carpenter. When I still have, like, personally, I still have nothing to show that, I've trained as a hairdresser. Like, the only thing that can show is my credentials of winning competitions or cutting hair. But to actually have that piece of paper that you can globally travel, like the way it is in the States, you have to have a license for barbering or for hairdressing. I hope that does come down. That's one thing that I do wish for the industry, because people will realize that it isn't that easy. It's like, and you got to invest in yourself, and Rome wasn't built in a day.
Oh, amen to that. It's just like, anyone thinks they can be a DJ until you've got 3 seconds left and you have to pick a song, or you have to get up and talk in front of 100 people. Anyone thinks they can be a DJ, buddy. But until you've got 3 seconds left and you have to pick that song, or you have to get up and talk within 100 people because something is blown up, or you can't find the bride, or you can't find the groom at the last dance and stuff like that. You've got to be able to think on your toes. And I hope, for even your sake, because it'll bring a bit of regulation, would bring a lot of standardization to it, so everybody be at a decent level. Like, 100%. You wouldn't have these doing these like 5-week courses and now you're a barber, go out and do your own thing. And like, do you know what, it can give, an overpopulation can give a lot of poison to people. You know what I mean? Like, people say to me that your ex wanted to do a wedding, I can get a cheaper DJ to do your wedding. Well, go get a cheaper DJ to do your wedding. You know what I mean? Like, I've really learned that value for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure people come into you and go, how much is a hair? You might say a 10 or 15 or whatever it is, and they go, come here, boy, I can get my fucking hair cut down the road for €6. He says, yeah, go get it done, but you might only have one here. Yeah. Finished, like, you know what I mean? Yeah,
one thing, like, you got to invest, like, over the year. Like, what I always done each year was I always invested about between 1,000 to kind of 2.5 grand in education of upskilling myself, be it business aspect or mainly hairdressing that I was upskilling myself. But if you don't reach out like that to get yourself educated and are not willing to do it, there's no point in being in the industry, because the industry is constantly changing with new trends, with like new aspects of how to like cut. But like the other thing that people get very bogged down about, hairdressing is very, very simple as well. You have your 3 core shapes of square, round, and triangular, and then you have graduation, layer, and one length. I know that sounds gibberish to you, but it's intermingling the 3 aspects of them together to actually create that outlook of someone. And people, that's why I feel what has happened now within the industry, that you have these 5-week courses, and then you have these expertise courses of people charging a lot of money, but you're benefiting a lot, but the terminology is so like grammar defined that it's nearly too hard on the head, being honest about it. When cutting hair is it's 100% like cutting hair. Like, don't get me wrong, it's simple when you understand what is going on. If you can picture that within your head. But like it's like I always say, people go out and give it a try, but you either got to commit to 100% or don't commit at all. Don't be this person that's going to do, I might do a few haircuts, I might do it. You either want to do it or you don't. It's the same with a DJ. You know that yourself. You have to give 110% or you don't give nothing at all. But like I do hope that, Joe, I suppose me starting out with hairdressing down at home here, it changed the aspect of people's views on it as well, which is and to realize it as well. Like, Joe, that's one thing that you always, when you create a business as well, you want to try and create a legacy within your own brand as well, to create something. That's my aim. Like I've a couple of things on the pipeline regarding the hairdressing that I want to focus on, and like once they get going, it'll take time. I think that's the hardest thing with people our age at the moment. They want everything fast, and they want it at an unbelievable value. So it's like, I look at the days when I started off in Super Value pushing trolleys and bantry. I was on 606 an hour, like, and I'm looking at myself being like, that's shit money. And like, people like, all right, the minimum wage is now up at €10 and 20 cents or whatever, and like people like you've got to graft as well. Like, if you don't want to graft, you're not going to be successful. You got to put in the hours 100%. And then what'll happen is you'll be running the business at the start, and then the business will start running it itself. Then the minute that starts happening, once you keep a hold of it, then you're doing well. That's where I find. But that's not going to happen me for another 7-8 years, if not more, because there's going to be so many ups and downs before it. And as like everyone says, it takes 10 years before you realize how to run a business.
Yeah.
I
was talking to a guy when I first opened my business. When I opened the pub first, and he was like, first couple of weeks in, and he was like, how are you getting on? And I says, there's a lot of plates in the air, but we're getting through it. And I says, he was in business now for 30 years, like, and I was saying, when do you start making money? And he's turned around, he says, in your 5th year, after your 5th year, you'll start making money. You know? And I that's okay. I think I can do that. I got into my 5th year anyway, and I met him, and only in passing, I says, you lied to me. And he started laughing. He says, what did I lie to you about? I says, in your 5th year, he said, you start making money. I said, you absolutely lied to me, you bastard. He says, you don't start making money in your 5th year. You just start realizing where you're losing it. And he thought it was hilarious, and he got a great kick out of it. And I think I made his day rather than the other way around. But it is. It's one of them things. Every day is a school day, and you got to keep learning as you go, and you got to learn fast to keep business going. You really have to learn fast.
100%. Like, where I learned as well was big time was it took me a while to understand it, but you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And when you think of it, listen before you talk. It took me a while, because I can be quite boisterous as well, like, that I like to hear, like, get my opinion across. But like, it's definitely something that, like, it's a tip that I like. The quote that I always live by in my own self is, aim high in life or don't bother aiming. That's, I like, always put yourself out there to get the best out of you. Keep 100%. Grafting, keep working hard. As someone always said to me before, is like, Kiwi, is like, money doesn't sleep. I think that's shocking, like, because I'm like, it doesn't, but it's your body needs that recovery as well. Like the one thing I suppose I've since I opened a business is I didn't start looking after my body at the start. I was looking after everyone else but myself. And it definitely impacted me, Joe, at the start, Joe, in the last 2 years, realizing, right, fuck, I need to get myself, Joe, like, even the likes of going to the gym, like, I was training a lot prior to that, and, Joe, get myself back in shape now again. They're the small things that I need to, like, that I've been focusing on a bit more since kind of relaxing, and then with this COVID period, that, like, I do realize that you got to look after yourself as well, and, Joe, play that a part amongst your routine of your work life, and, Joe, like, and make sure, like, as I always say, take a holiday, take a day, like, take a day off, like, be willing to allow yourself to do that, because that's what a lot of people, they feel that they got to work around the clock and all this, and people are going to question you as well. So, like, I remember the very first year in business, and, like, I went on a holiday with the lads for a week, and they're like, how can you afford to go on a holiday? I was like, well, I'm working, the whole time, as I'm working a full-time job. I was like, you're still going to get your 20 days off each year. I was like, can I not take a week off? I was like, Joe, make sure to, like, look after, but still enjoy the journey. That's the biggest part, is enjoy the journey. Document it, like, keep, like, always, Joe, see where you're progressing. Joe, one thing I always try and do for myself as well is, like, break down what did I do good, what did I do bad, what, like, I like the, Joe, it's not creating a negative, this with the badness. It's like working from your mistakes to just make that not happen again, and, Joe, work from there. Like, it's like, your business opens up your eyes, and, like, one thing I found hugely as well is, your circle gets smaller with your friends as well. It gets a lot smaller, and you realize who's there for you as well. That's the other side of it, and, like, there's nothing wrong with that either. Don't be afraid to reach out or to let go as well, Joe. But you'll realize that like-minded people will start surrounding yourself with the type of people that you're hanging around with as well. And you, like, and learn, keep learning from, like, there's a mountain of people I could talk about with business that have given me tips here and there. And, like, the thing is, what actually happens, it actually just happens in a normal conversation, that they could give you a tip that you're like, you go home and you think about it, you're like, oh wow, that actually makes a lot more sense. And, like, it's them kind of things are great to vent as well, because, like, it's, when you have a problem or an issue, it's, reach out, like, and that's one thing I suppose, like, there's always going to be someone there to help.
That's it. Yeah. And man, you're 100% right on everything you're saying. And, like, the good people will help you. And, like, sometimes it's a problem shared is a problem halved. And isn't that the saying? Isn't that how they do it?
Yeah.
You'd be amazed how many people have actually been through the exact same thing as you. And you think, like, the thing about it is, you think your problem is the end. This is it. I'm not going to get past this problem. I found this bill that I can't pay, or this is after breaking, or something's after happening, and oh my God, how am I going to get around this? And oh my Jesus, the whole world is going to come down on top of my head. And you talk to someone about it, and you go, yeah, well, does this ever happen to you? And you go, yeah, it's happened to me 4 times. And you kind of go, oh, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe there's a way around this. You know what I mean? That's the way, look, we can. This is the one thing I started this podcast. A is to give me something to do, and to B, to reach out to people and kind of find out how other people are getting on with COVID, and how, like, business people are doing and stuff like that. And even if it's, look, if anybody takes anything from this whole podcast thing, or whatever I'm doing, shiting on some bit professionally as I always do, I hope people just find it a bit entertaining, just that they can take
100%.
Something like
that's what I always say. Like, it's any educations that I've done, like, the number one rule is, if you can take away one thing from this, it's huge. You've learned something. And, like, that's one thing. Even COVID, like, Joe, it's the exact same thing. You got to say, right, if I've learned one thing from this, is, family. Joe, I can turn around and say family, the back end of my business. I can turn around and say, spending more time on myself, developing myself. But then the other aspect as well, like, from this COVID, like, I won't mention names or anything, but there's been a couple of people that have reached out, and, like, they turn around as, like, you, like, if you are struggling struggling. They're like not saying struggling mentally, because like mental health is a big aspect of everyone's world nowadays. But they're saying if you're struggling financially, do not feel bad to reach out. And they're like, be open about it. And like, Joe, to have that reassurance, I'm not going to lie. Like, there was one person in particular that contacted me the day that I found out, was it the 21st or 22nd? And goes, Kiwi, like I was in the middle of a client, is like, can you talk? And I was like, yeah, what's up? Like, because I thought there was something up, like, because it was, and he was like, I'm here for you. And I was like, when I like to get that, like, it was a shit day in business.
Yeah.
I got the news at 4:00, knowing that we're closed. And again, I just wanted to fucking pack in the towel at that stage. I was like, fuck this, I'm gone. Like, in the mood, like, and I was just cross, and get into that pat in the back was so comforting. And like, there's people aspects of that I'm learning now, that hopefully one day I can give that job presence to some other aspiring entrepreneur on the way up as well. And like, thank you. I was like, that means so much. And I was like, here, I'm gonna have to leave you go. Then I was like, and he was like, here, give me a shout later on. And like, just small things like that it has definitely evolved the business and then your aspects towards, and you're like, yeah, I'm in a good place here. And that's where I look at it, like, you have a choice of being down the dumps about what is going on, or you have a choice. Like, don't get me wrong, you're gonna have shitty days as well. Like, I find my sleep at the moment is brutal, and just different things. Like, you just see the days going by, but then, like, I look at it as like, where are the weeks and days going by? It's crazy. It's like, we're into this, like, next week is into the 6th week of the year. Like, and you're like, what is going on? Like, but there's the things like that I'm like, right, what have I done in them 6 weeks to make things work? And that's where you got to look at, and you reevaluate. And I'm seeing people doing stuff as well. Like, I've other guys that I'd be good friends with in business as well, and it's great to see that people are willing to spend time on themselves, most importantly, but time in other aspects of their business to create something, because it's definitely a time for that.
Yeah, 100%. And it also gives you time to sort of turn around and go, well, what's next?
Yeah.
What is next? You don't have to be throwing the water out over the side of the boat anymore. You can now sort of figure out and go, well, why is this water in the boat? You can turn around and you can go, well, I can figure this out. Do you know what? This COVID is sort of giving, I'm hoping, certain, now I'm saying, I don't know whether it be lucky or, ignorance is bliss sometimes, where you actually think that everything is fantastic and we all live in Alice in Wonderland. And then you get back to it and your first bill comes in the door, or when the VAT man starts looking for his VAT, you kind of go, oh shit. I think, and I hope people have started to realize that you have to look after yourself first and business second. Like, as you said, people will wait for a haircut. And if you, like, the sad thing about it is, if you died in the morning, they'd go somewhere else anyway. You can only do your best that you can for people. And as soon as you give an inch, people take a mile, and they always will. That's just human nature. That's just the way the species goes, And it really is. It's sad, and it really is sad. Like, you'll help someone out. Oh, I I've got my fucking haircut to get done, or I've got a fucking a date, or it's Friday night, 6:15, and you close at 6, but some fellas coming in at 5:30, and by the time you shut down and lock down, that extra half an hour has cost you 2 hours, so you're not home then till 9:30, 10 o'clock, and it's like, for what?
Be proud. What I've learned is, be proud to say no. Be proud to reject. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but be proud to do it, because the one thing I started, like, when I was back, when gyms were open, I was after finding two guys that I was training hard with up in Cork, and like, we made sure every evening that we're training between 7 and 7:15 we'd meet there, just in Max Life, and that made sure that I wasn't staying on late. And when I wasn't doing that, then it made sure that I was doing something other than cutting hair. I wasn't going from my bed, going for a shower, eating my breakfast, into work, coming home, eating my dinner, into bed. That's not a lifestyle, right? You have to do that as well sometimes, just at Christmas time and all that, and X, Y, and Z, when businesses are busy. But do allow time to yourself that you can actually do things fun. Like as I said, one of the lads goes to me, he's like, like, how would you expect to have a girlfriend? I was like, when, like you'd be on about like if a girl had a child, like Joe, like they're Joe, people are like, oh, that could be extra baggage. I was like, my business is extra baggage as well, because I'm spending so much time and dedication towards it, and I don't. Yeah. That's not to come across badly about that, because it's just, you've got to make time other than your business. That's one thing I've realized through COVID, is to give yourself personal time. And like the one thing that I love is, used to love on a Friday evening was coming down from Cork, and I used to have no radio on coming down, and just like I used to just like my own thoughts of how did my week go. I used to be questioning myself, like, and I'd be racing down the road, and you'd be like, but it was just nice. It was just quietness, because like when you're talking to, say, Joe, 60, 70 odd people a week, that's excluding outside the shop. It's just like, well, everything's going on, and you're like, that's where that kind of me time, as I call it, I absolutely adored that me time aspect. And it was the other side of like going for a chill walk, or getting out in fresh air. That's another thing that I found hugely, as well as getting out into fresh air to free the head is huge. Even there, Joe, like when you're inside in the salon, it's been busy, is like getting out to go for that coffee, and you're like, this is just heaven. You're out of the salon vibe. There's no ifs, there's no buts, and you can relax for that, say 10-15 minutes of a time, and you enjoy it. So like there's all of them kind of aspects that I suppose I have enjoyed. Do you know what? I'm really, really enjoying the journey, because there's been so many ups, but it's like the downs have definitely outnumbered them at the moment with all this COVID. But it's definitely made me create time to create ups, and that's what I'm looking forward to as well with this whole business and the whole brand that I've planned to set out for. Because
you're going to do it.
It's the first rung. 100%. It's the first rung of the ladder as well. That's where like I forget is like I turn around right in 2 and a bit years in business, but I haven't. I'm only at the tip of the iceberg yet. So I can't wait. It's definitely
you're
definitely going to be a fun journey though. That's what I'm looking for. With a fun laughter and giggle.
Yeah. Do you know? But are you looking forward to getting back in there? Because like as soon as this is the whole thing. When reality strikes and things go back to normal, I wonder how many people are going to take these lessons with them. Is it going to be just like ready, set, go, and people are just going to go fucking back to 400 miles an hour? Or are we going to be a bit like, well, hang on a second here. Are we going to take a step back? Are we actually like, I think the slowdown for everybody, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent, was kind of needed by the human race, because like we were going 24 hours a day. Like there was times there where I mightn't get home till 4 or 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, and have to get back up to get into the pub for 10 or half 10 in the morning to get it open for 12 o'clock. And like, that's stupid. Like, that is absolutely stupid. Like even I have 3 girls, and my 2 eldest girls, I can safely say I worked 90% of their younger years. Now, my youngest one now, like when this COVID thing started, she wasn't even crawling. She's now walking, running, and tearing around the place like an absolute dragon. And I got to see it all, and it was fantastic. You know what I mean? Like I'll never get that back. I'll never ever 100%. Get that back. And it was fantastic that I was able to enjoy it. It was like Christmas, and it was the one rule I made to myself when I took on the pub. Most pubs open for Christmas Day, to give out their free drinks and stuff like that. I turned around and I said, from the very get-go, I said, there's no fucking way I'm opening Christmas Day. I said, not a chance. I said, you can all fuck off and go somewhere else Christmas Day. So I'm going home for Christmas Day. And normally I'd go home Christmas Day and start drinking at about 10 o'clock in the morning and start raging alcoholic. By about 6 o'clock in the afternoon, being absolutely twisted drunk. And that'll be my Christmas. And you'll be back up then for 10, maybe 9 o'clock in the morning to start stacking the bar, get the bar ready for Stevens' Day. And it's ready. It was ready to go. It was one day, Christmas Eve, 8 o'clock. I'd close the bar until 11, maybe 12 o'clock. Stevens' Day, I was off. Then it was go time. And it was go time all the way until Little Christmas, which is 6th of January, or is it the 8th of January, something like that?
6th.
And it was go every single night. Silent season, in the pub during the day, DJing at night, or in the pub every day, like you're, and it was go. miss it to a certain degree because it is a great buzz when you are busy. But then you're going to go, I wonder would I ever do it again? And I'm saying this now during lockdown and in February 2021. I don't think I'll be doing it in December 2021. If everything goes back to normal, I'll think I might just concentrate on maybe one or two things rather than trying to do 400 things. And have a bit more time for myself. That's what I'm hoping to do. Now, you could see me probably gray hair and balding by the time this year is finished. But here's hoping that everything goes according to plan and I manage to keep what I want to come out of this year and the whole lockdown to make sure that I concentrate on myself. Because if you don't concentrate, no one is going to.
Big time, totally agree with you there. I think the biggest aspect as well when you do open up your own place or become an entrepreneur or a businessman is burning yourself out. I've experienced it, and it's not like you experience it times. Like the one thing was coming up to Christmas there, like the first sign of what mine is when I'm stressed, I get bleeding gums. It's well, that's the first sign that I always get, and I get run down, and it's horrible. Don't get me wrong, I do just love, like, I think you strive off that anticipation. Like I as you said, when I go back, like I do see the first 6 weeks just being absolutely just nuts. In regards of, like, I'm not going to be doing later hours or anything like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open an extra day to work the 6 days to actually compensate for that. That you can actually still balance your lifestyle. That you can enjoy I think that's where I went wrong. Like the first time when I opened the city, I was only working 4 days. I was working a Wednesday to a Saturday. And I just nearly do 12 hours in 3 days, in 4 days, and you're like, oh my God, I was like, what am I doing with myself? And then when I went to 5 days and I stopped a Saturday, and like I went Monday to Friday, and I was like, all right, that's cool. And like, people were like, well, how are you getting away with that when you're a service and all that? And I was like, well, because it's like I have to situating my clients that it works. Like, and then open up the Saturdays coming up to Christmas, and they were booking out just as fast. And I was like, right. I was like, there's an opportunity there that I need to go back in and rethink and open back up them Saturdays. But like when I go and change, I know it's coming back is like, I'll open at 8 o'clock in the morning and I'll finish for 1:30. You still have 8 clients done in that time on a booking system, providing your normal services. But 8 clients is better than no clients that you wouldn't have had. What I've started to realize recently as well is getting up earlier for work. Like there was one of the mornings there, I was in at, I think it was like 5:30, 5:45, and I was cutting for 6. And so like if people, that was during Christmas as well. And I said to the guys, like, here, if you're willing to come in, I'm willing to come in. Whereas like, do not no show on me. Like I was like, that's the one thing. I was like, if you no show, I was like, that's black book shit. I was like, but I was like, I'm happy to come in at that hour if you're happy to come in. And they had no problem. And it was, it's, people start working around your hours as well. That if like, there's, I think the one thing that I provide, some people may ask, oh, any available slots, and you're like, oh, I can take you at this time. And then they're like, oh, sorry, I have something on. I was like, well, I can't. I've given you my offer. As bad as it sounds, that's the best I can do. Like I've only 2 hands. That's like it's definitely been interesting of trying to work out what's the best way to scale trying to get that happy medium is very hard, and you don't know it until.
I'm 6 years in, and I still haven't found it. And I've been, like, I just actually found my business registration thing, and I opened Bantry DJs back in 2009, 2010, and that was when I first registered my business. So it was that back long ago. So what? I'm in business 11 years for myself, and still haven't found it.
I don't think you ever will. Joe, what I think the hardest though is when your job is a service that you're providing, it's very hard to find a happy medium, like compared to someone that has that 9 to 5 or that 7 to 3 or what, like 7 to 4. Joe, they've them set hours, and what's done is done. Like where you're providing the service, that one extra person, you're like, oh, that's extra money. And
Yeah.
Joe, you
Yeah.
do two, like you do one extra each day. That's 5 extra in the week, and you're accumulating these figures in your head, thinking they're great, but you're not thinking of your own body. Joe, and that's
Yep.
where that self care, I suppose, can dilapidate very, very fast, and it definitely did happen with myself. And like you burn out, and you Joe, like Joe, to try and look after your diet, try and look after training. It was like Joe, like I miss sport in a big way. Like I miss rugby
Mhm.
hugely. Like and like I haven't played J nearly in 2 years now as well. And, like I miss that as well. Like as Joe, you just miss them aspects of playing around. Like you're always going to get asked, do you want to come back? And it's very hard to go right. It's like, what if I break my hand in the morning? It's like, I know that's hindsight and all that, but are you going to cut hair for me? You know,
Yeah, that is the
there's
problem. That is the
and that's what,
problem.
especially when I'm setting up as well. You know, I'm still at the setup stage that I don't have an established business. That I
Mhm.
still, John, 99% of it is ran by me.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's definitely I do hope. I want to get back into fucking scrum. I want to get Joe down and dirty in a game of rugby. Like I do miss it big time. I like
Would you
Joe.
do it if you had the keys in the morning? Would you open again?
150%. Yeah, love
There
it.
you go. There's the life of an entrepreneur, my man.
I absolutely love it. I strive off it, and you strive for better the whole time. And all I'm seeing, this is a bleep
Yeah.
in the heart monitor. That's all it is
Yeah.
at the moment. Because as like I was talking to other business owners there that are well established in Cork City, and they're like, yes, this is one of the toughest things we've gone through as business. But he goes, if you can overcome this, because we're all in this together, if you can
Mm.
overcome this, it's a lot. Like, because like Joe, people are kind of trying to associate it with the recession as well. I obviously didn't get to experience that as a business point of view with the recession, but Joe, people are noticing that with this COVID, that there's a lot more people involved in this as a unit compared to the recession times, Joe, where everyone did immigrate and there was a lot of jobs lost, and like there's very few immigrating now, so they can't, like, but
Yeah.
it's I wouldn't change any bit of it for the world. I think the only thing that I probably need to get more is get more I suppose build up of information of what's right, what's wrong. I think that all you can do with that is learn it along the path of your journey, and that's what I do look forward to. Look forward to getting knowledge on, and see where it takes me. Like it's the first step. I open it, like I set up the business at 20, open at 21, and you kind of just go from there and ride the storm.
That's it, brother. On that
Yeah,
note, we're going to leave it. But we have the most
yeah.
important part of our podcast that we do every night. Now, Kiwi, you are going to be this year's very first contestant for our new questions. So I
Right.
don't know. Are you feeling lucky?
Well,
You're going
we'll
to
see
set the
what happens. I
You're
won
gonna
a
set
pair
the
of clippers last week, so I can't complain.
at the end of this year. Even though that being said, I still haven't. And see, this is why if I had this had been this time last year, I would have had all this work done. But I haven't even gotten around to. And I said I would get the best answers for the quiz and put a video together, and I would do it from last year because we had like I said, I think this could be our 20th. I think you could be our 20th or 21st podcast, a guest on our podcast show. So yeah, I have to need to get everyone's answers and put them in a video. I think it'll kind of make a cool montage of videos for the
Yeah,
end of the year.
it'd be
But I
like
still have
it'd be like Uploaded. Do you remember that TV series?
I've gotten some strange answers, but these are all fresh, new questions. All right, so you are going to
Unreal.
be the very first contestant, right, for our rapid fire quiz at the end of our podcast. Kiwi, thank you so much for doing this, brother. I really
You
appreciate
too.
it. But we got to be quick now, right? So
Right.
we do 30 seconds, but we've got about a minute, maybe 40 seconds. I'm going to stretch, right?
Right.
So
Cool.
here we go. In 3, 2, 1. What's worse, doing the dishes or washing your clothes?
Doing the dishes. 100%.
Is your chocolate kept in the fridge or outside the fridge?
Oh, it doesn't bother me. It does either or. It does not bother me.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke. Yeah.
What's the correct way to hang the toilet roll? Over the top or underneath?
Over the top all day long and fold in the top if it's the first roll. Always. I remember at your service when they came to Noreen, my aunt, in the Ovan,
Yeah.
and like he was always on about the toilet roll has to be over the top and folded at the top always. And I was like, when I see it when it's wrapped underneath, I'm like, what are you doing? Like it's just stuck in my head now. Like I can't get it out.
iPhone or Android?
Oh, iPhone all day, all day.
Who's your favorite actor or actress?
I actually don't watch a whole pile of movies, but Adam Sandler would always be my favorite actor. I just think I love stupid comedy. That's me, true and true. I love actress.
An ocean view or a city view from your hotel room?
Oh, ocean view, yeah, 100%. I think just living by
dog person or a cat person?
Dog person. I don't mind either. Favorite day of the week?
Gotta be quick, yeah.
Friday.
Bar Ireland, what's your favorite country in the world?
Ooh, I'm gonna say Canada at the moment.
There we are, ladies and gentlemen. That was our first rapid fire quiz. There are all the answers. It's quick. You got to be quick with them. But questions,
yeah, because you're like, oh my god, what's going on? And you're like, and you're trying to think of like, oh, Joe, when you're put on the spot, like, because even like favorite country, I would say it's like I've traveled a nice few bits, but like America's probably the most length of time I've stayed in somewhere, and then like I just enjoyed I was in Vancouver and I was in Toronto in Canada, and I was able to experience the whole life of. It's very chilled out in Vancouver, and there's a lot of skiing and snowboarding going on up in Whistler. But then over in Toronto, you work the shit out of yourself, and you still get that chill out time at the evening. So it's you get a bit of both. So I think that's at the moment anyway for life it'd be there or as West Coast of America.
Until you get down to Australia. Kiwi, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you too. I really, really enjoyed that as well. It was good to catch up.
Really appreciate it, brother. We'll catch up again. Get back open. I must get up and fix this growing of mine because
100%.
I don't know whether I'm receding or what's going on, but it's not doing what it used to. So until next time, brother, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
You mind yourself, man. Say hello to everybody over in the bed for us. All right, brother?
Will do.